Welcome back, everyone, to Home Finds Grian, Chapter 2 by Dragons Are Cool. Chapter 2 Mumbo Talks a Lot. As it turns out, Mumbo had been on his way home from an errand to pick up some redstone components when he spotted Grian land out in the alleyway. Mumbo helped him find his feet and let him lead into him as they kept walking at a leisurely pace. Mumbo rambled idly as they went along, though not much of it was sticking in Grian's brain. He was sore and hungry and hadn't slept or even rested in he didn't even know how many days. He got the feeling Mumbo wouldn't fault him for his lack of attention. It seemed the rambling was to help his own nerves as much as Grian's. The hand that wasn't held tightly around Grian's side to hold him up had yet to stop fidgeting with his tie. Grian watched the repetitive motion as they plodded along. He followed a nice, predictable pattern. It soothed him almost as much as Mumbo's endless voice. Eventually, they turned away from the street and walked up to a modest brick apartment building. "This is it." Grian dragged his brain into queuing in then. "My friends will probably ask about you." Grian looked up at him. What do I say? He'd gotten exceptionally lucky that Mumbo was the person who found him, that Mumbo had recognized him. It had to have been the universe trying to make up for pretty much the whole of the rest of his life with this one moment. But that didn't mean he remembered how to properly socialize. His main skill set was quiet lurking with a touch of intimidation when required, and lots of watching. He couldn't help the involuntary shudder it sent down his spine, and he closed his eyes. Mumbo tightened his hold on Grian. Then, I can talk to them for you if you like. Until you get your bearings?" Grian nodded. "Please." "Okay. Let's go in then. We may not even run into any of them just yet anyways." But with his luck, of course there was someone right there in the lobby. The man was taking a sip of tea before quickly replacing a modified breathing apparatus over his mouth and nose. This man he did recognize. Those striking purple eyes were far more relaxed now than the last time he'd seen them. He could only hope the mask was enough for him to avoid recognition in return. "Hi, X," Mumbo greeted pleasantly. "Hello, Mumbo." X smiled at them, showing it mostly in those eyes. Grian shrunk down and hid a bit more behind Mumbo as his eyes fell on him. That unnatural purple bore into him despite the gaze holding nothing but polite courtesy. "Who's this?" Mumbo thankfully seemed to take Grian's shyness in stride and let him be. "This is Grian." He rocked on his feet a little in excitement as Exuma's eyes widened. "The Grian? How?" Mumbo nodded. "You wouldn't believe it, but I just found him passed out in the alley behind the ice cream shop on my way home." "You're right," X chuckled. "I don't believe it." Mumbo kept nodding like he wasn't sure when to stop. "I offered for him to stay with me a while. I promise he won't be any trouble. He just..." X seamlessly cut Mumbo off before his rant could pick up momentum. "I'm sure that's fine, Mumbo. It's your apartment. You can have guests however long you want. I'm sure the others would love to finally meet him, too." He looked back to Grian, then his eyes turning a little sad at how he hid. "Mumbo's told us a lot about you, Grian. All good things, I promise. I'm glad you found each other again." Grian could barely bring himself to nod in response. Well, I should probably get him upstairs, Mumbo hedged. Of course, I don't mean to keep you. Welcome, Grian. I look forward to seeing you around. Zuma raised his tea to him before returning to his book and giving them the space to exit. Grian leaned a little further into Mumbo, the taller man now supporting more of his weight than he was. But they did make it to the elevator. My room is second from the end. Sorry it had to be such a long walk. He apologized as he started patting his pockets for his skis. Grian couldn't muster up the words to respond to that. He fell into a sort of haze again, like he had on the walk there, as they entered the apartment and Mumbo got Grian settled at the kitchen island. You must be hungry? He gasped as he tossed his jacket over another stool and went to wash his hands. I was going to make a casserole tonight. Does that sound all right? Grian nodded, only vaguely following his words. His attention was now on the jacket. There was noticeable staining on the sleeves, no doubt matching the sticky feeling coating the back of his head and wings. It will take a while to cook, but you could wash up in the meantime if you like. Doesn't look too comfortable to have your wings like that. Grian extended one wing a little and winced as he did. On top of the understandable soreness from such a long flight, the sticky mystery liquid was causing some of his feathers to pull uncomfortably. Some were wind-tossed, some were loose and ready to come out. Others had bits of seaweed caught in them from an unfortunate incident with an ocean swell. Well, if he didn't care for his wings, they were still attached to him, and currently they were objectively disgusting and very uncomfortable. That's probably a good idea. He cringed again at the feeling of reclosing the wind. He caught Mumbo's look of sympathy. Here. Mumbo set down the pot next to the stove. The bathroom is this way. He offered Grian a hand to help him down and show him the way. If you leave your clothes on the floor out here, I can get them in the wash and then I can borrow some clothes from False. She's an avian too. She's a bit taller than you, but she might still have something that should fit well enough. That would probably be more comfortable than cutting holes in an old t-shirt or something. You're sure that would be okay? Oh, positive, Mumbo assured. Like I said, everyone here is friends. She won't mind at all. Though she'll probably ask to meet you soon, too. Well, everyone's going to want to meet you eventually. Gosh, I don't mean for that to sound overwhelming. I promise they're all lovely people. Grian smiled a little at Mumbo's rambles. There never seemed to be a short answer from the man. Grian found it endearing. He nodded. Okay, thanks, Mumbo. Of course! Mumbo proceeded to show him where everything he may need was in the bathroom, down to even getting him a new toothbrush from his stash of extras. He set out a few towels, correctly figuring he'd probably need extra for his wings and tail. His current wings, those of some sort of shorebird, were not particularly well waterproofed anymore after so long without breathing. I'll just leave the new clothes outside for you, and I'll be in the kitchen if you need anything, Mumbo reassured him for maybe the 5th time now. Grian nodded and smiled tiredly at him as he finally left. It took quite a bit of maneuvering to get himself free of his sweatshirt. He'd cut slits in the back himself for his wings. There hadn't been time to hunt down proper clothes, as he had been fleeing. Realistically, he shouldn't have stopped for new clothes at all, but if he had to spend one more minute in those robes... If someone had seen him in those robes... He shunned the thought and focused on getting himself free. He tried not to worry too much about damaging or dislodging any feathers in the process. They would require a lot of pruning either way. The pants were easier, as rather than try and force his tail through a crudely cut hole, he just opted to leave the pants under his tail in the back, and tie them tight over his tail with a length of broken wire he'd found, looped through the belt loops. They were large enough on him that it worked out well enough. Then he cut off the excess length on the legs and he was off again. The only article of clothing he had that he would even consider keeping was the red sweatshirts. And only if he could manage to modify it properly to go over his wings. But that was for post-snap Grian to figure out. Current Grian got to be the one to do battle with his wings instead. He started up the shower as hot as he could bear it. Even if it ended up melting his wings right off him, even better. It wouldn't. He knew his luck wouldn't carry that far. But it did help wash away all the stickiness and debris. By the time he pretty much filled the little trash can with broken and loosened feathers, and he was looking more than a little sparse with how many of them had been flight feathers. He'd probably not get off the ground very easily until they grew back. Not that he wanted to. But he was clean again. Wrapping in a towel, he poked his head out the door and saw a neatly folded pile of clothes sitting there. Mumbo had brought him a plain t-shirt and sweatpants that buttoned conveniently around his tail and his wings and tail. The pants fell down farther past his ankles than most avian pants were designed to, but they weren't so long as to trip him up. And on top was a bright red sweater, custom knit to accommodate wings from the start rather than being modified later. It was big and soft and cozy and really just what he needed right now. Mumbo smiled warmly at him when he emerged again. Just in time. Feeling better? He nodded. Much better. Smells good. Casserole's just come out. Mumbo gestured to the dish cooling on the counter. Have a seat. I'll bring you some. Grian took a seat at the little kitchen nook next to the window. Mumbo came over quickly to join him with 2 plates. His hunger hit him with full force when Mumbo set the plate down in front of him, and it helped that the food was delicious too. He went back for seconds, or rather, Mumbo brought him seconds, which was nice because he wasn't sure he'd be able to muster the energy to get up on his own again, let alone while trying not to spill a plate of food. He might have asked for a bit more even after that if it weren't for the fact he was falling asleep at the table. I'll get the pull-out bed set up for you, Mumbo offered as he cleared the dishes. You just wait here. Grian leaned back and dozed in his chair until Mumbo came back for him. And that is the end of chapter 2.